Hello. I decided I would make a little video to kind of show y'all how I draw my pictures. There's not really any drawing involved. I use, it's basically a web page that I render a SVG on, and I create everything in a text editor. Here we got VS Code, and I've got this project open that I call Starts with A, and I got a bunch of little projects in there. So this is a Svelte project. So SvelteKit is a JavaScript framework for making dynamic web pages or web applications. I'm not making an application. Well, I guess this is an application. So in the source directory in the routes, if I create a new folder in here, that equates to a new page in my web application. And inside each of these, I've just got a page, and each of these pages is one of my little graphics projects. So what we'll start with here is I'm going to come over here to my terminal, and we're going to create a new directory in this source routes. So we will do make directory source routes, and we'll call it hello. And now we're going to make that page touch source routes hello plus page dot svelte. The reason it starts with a plus is that's a reserved thing for Svelte. That's just the way they do it. So now we look over here, we got a new directory with hello there. So what we're going to do now is open that up. Hello. Alright, so we got this blank document, but over here we have also a new blank graphic. So what we're going to start with is we're going to tell Svelte options that our namespace is SVG, so that basically tells Svelte when it's trying to tell me about syntax errors or suggestions or whatever that I am writing SVG and not HTML. So then we will tell it that we're going to basically inside the script tag is where we're going to define all the variables and functions and whatnot. And I'm going to do TypeScript as the language. That way I can kind of give it some hints, and that helps me write code without screwing it up. If I tell the editor what kind of thing I'm making and then I don't make that thing, it will tell me you're not making that thing. So one way to describe it. So every picture needs a size. So we're going to give this one, we'll just say it's 1024. And then I have to tell it that that is a variable, so that's going to be a constant. So it won't change. Now I'm going to draw a circle, so it's going to have a radius. And in SVG, the radius is defined with the letter R. So I'm just going to call this R. And we'll say it's going to be 1/12 size of the picture itself. Alright, that's good enough. Oh, that's also going to be a constant. Alright, now we're going to come down here and define our SVG, scalable vector graphic. And now I've got a thing of utilities here. I'll show you that in my geometry file. And I have a thing called a view box. So here, this function viewBox is going to take a width and a height, or it's going to create a string with that's going to give me a box that defines the view box for the anyway. This creates some text in the little SVG tag. And viewBox takes a size. So in that there I basically am using the width variable, but it will default to width. And I must have screwed up. So you can see here where it's telling me I messed up. Size is not a valid attribute. Oh, I need to do this. VBox equals. promise I do this way better when I'm not recording myself. Alright, I also have a little function or a little component called background, and this basically takes some arguments, most of them optional, but the important one being size, and it creates a path. So this one will be basically as big as the graphic, and it's going to fill it with the fill and optionally do transforms and filters. So here I'm just going to type background, and it knows what I'm going to do there, so it's going to import that for me as soon as I hit tab. And then we'll pass it the size, and we'll give it a fill of white, and there we go. So now I said I was going to draw a circle, so we basically say circle and the radius. So we'll see a little circle appear. Now I want the circle to not have a fill, so I'm going to come in here and make some definitions for the SVG graphic in the form of a style for now, and we're going to tell it that we want circle to have no fill. Alright, now that made it disappear, but so we want the stroke on the circle, we'll just say black. Alright, I'm going to make this graphic a little smaller so that the proportions of the stroke are thicker. There we go. Now, what am I going to do next? Okay, so later I'm going to be drawing a path. So I'm also going to want the path to have no fill and a black stroke. But you see that made this go away. That basically my background path here went away because I got rid of its fill. So I am going to say not dot background. So that now this rule will ignore if the path has a class of dot background, which this does. Alright, so you get an idea for how I do things. Next, let's create some kind of dynamic stuff. Oops, that accidentally got included there. So I think I'm going to create some angles. So I've got a little call it const angles equals, and I've got a little helper function called angles array that will basically divide 360 by whatever number I give it and give me the appropriate angles. So I'll show you what that looks like here. We're going to say console.log angles, and then over here in the browser, if we open up the console, you can see that it made these numbers here. So there's our angles there, and it did do some negative angles, and that's because by default I rotate this 90 degrees. SVG wants 0 degrees to be here. I prefer 0 degrees to be there. But if I want it to not rotate, I can just basically pass this and it won't rotate. And now you see we have 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, and 300. So that's 360 divided into 6 chunks. So next what we'll do is we're going to do a little loop here, and we're going to say for each angles as A, and we'll also pass the iterator out there too, we are going to draw a path. So a path has a attribute called D, which I don't know why it's D, but that this maybe it's definition. This defines path. So we're going to move to 0, 0, which is the center, and then we're going to draw a line to here's another one of my little helper functions, radial point string. So given an angle and a radius, we just have R here for now, will give me an XY coordinates on a radial graph here. So, and then this should stroke black because of my definition there. There you go. So basically what that did is it drew a line from 0, 0 to the radial point of each angle and radius that I passed it. So there you go. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, that is the gist of how I do these things. And I will probably create more videos like this in the future. This one's just a test, and wanted to see how that went. So, see you later.